if you work out in the morning, what time should you take your pre-workout at? This is a really good question because I often see people taking energy drinks or drinking energy drinks right as they step onto the gym floor, and they are not getting any benefits of that until way later. Okay, so I'm going to base my answer on the effects of caffeine and citrulline malate, which are probably two of the most important pre-workout substances in pre-workout mixes. If you take them about 45 minutes to an hour before your workout, they should reach good levels in your blood to give you the beneficial effects of those pre-workouts. So if you're working out at 8, you want to take that at 7:15 or maybe even 7 o'clock in the morning to get the benefit. Don't take it as you're walking onto the gym floor, because the time that it will take to actually have an effect, you'll be walking off the gym floor after your workout when you start feeling its effects. If you start taking a protein supplement to help you build muscle, and then you stop taking that protein supplement, will all the muscle you gained turn back into fat? Short answer, no, absolutely not. So what happens when you're taking a protein supplement is it does help augment the effect of any resistance training or gym work that you do to help you build more muscle, okay? You have that muscle. You're not going to lose it if you stop going to the gym. As long as you keep going to the gym, you're going to maintain it, even if you stop using that protein supplement. It is not going to turn back into fat. That's not what happens with muscle. Oftentimes what you'll see is if somebody stops taking a protein supplement, they've stopped going to the gym, they've stopped exercising, they gain a little bit of weight naturally. That's why it happens. So don't worry, if you can't take a protein supplement long term, you can stop, it won't turn into fat. Can you take creatine every day, technically for the rest of your life? Or do you need to stop and take breaks from taking creatine? So that idea that you need to cycle on and off of creatine stems from the association that creatine has with steroids. Remember, creatine is not a steroid, doesn't work in the same way as steroids. It's not a steroid, okay? So you do not need to cycle on and off creatine. You can technically take it for a very, very long time. We don't know how much because we just simply do not have the time to do studies that long. But we do have evidence from studies in children who need to take creatine because of genetic conditions, who take huge doses, up to 30 grams a day, for 5 years or more, and they have absolutely no issues whatsoever. So if you want to take creatine for the rest of your life, it's probably okay to do. If you do a weight-sensitive sport, does it make sense to use creatine in the off-season, and then when the on-season or competition season begins, go off it? And how long does it take to get out of your system? So here's the thing. A lot of people who do weight-sensitive sports are really concerned that they take creatine, their weight is going to go up too much. Now, one thing to note is it doesn't happen to everybody if they take creatine. But if you're one of those people whose weight does go up when you take creatine, you can go off it and your weight will come back down if you go off it. It usually takes between 3 and 4 weeks for your creatine levels to go back down to baseline. Okay, so you've got 3 or 4 weeks and it may come back down. You will lose some of the benefits, but using it during the off season, creatine will improve your performance in training, may make you train harder, and may make you perform better even when you go off it. So it's worth trying out to see how it affects you. Does taking creatine cause hair loss? Quite possibly one of the most pervasive myths about creatine that exists, and it's a myth that simply will not die. Okay, this myth came from one study, one that found that in a group of people taking creatine, there was an increase in something called DHT, or dihydrotestosterone. Now, dihydrotestosterone is associated with hair loss in people who are genetically susceptible to losing their hair. So for people who are worried about losing their hair when taking creatine, this is what I say. If you are genetically going to lose your hair, if it's something that happens in your family, you are going to lose your hair, creatine is probably not going to have any effect on it whatsoever. If you want to get the benefits of creatine, take creatine, and do not be worried about myths from one study that has never been replicated since.